welcome to the Advancing Oceanside Podcast. Today we will be learning about the work of Innovate78, but first we have a quick message from our sponsor, FrontWave Credit Union.
FrontWave Credit Union fights for their members, those dedicated to country and community, family and friends, for banking, lending, saving, planning, dream big. They got you. They're FrontWave Credit Union, and they've been making financial dreams come true since 1952. Check them out at frontwavecu.com.
Thank you for joining us for the Advancing Oceanside Podcast. I'm your host, Scott Ashton, and I'm excited today to have with us Kierstin Rielly of Innovate78. How are you, Kirsten?
Good, Scott. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Great to have you. So we want to learn about Innovate78, but before we dive into that, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you arrived at Innovate78.
Absolutely. So I am actually born and raised in Oceanside. So Oceanside is and all of North County is very near and dear to my heart. And right out of college, I actually worked with Scott at the Oceanside Chamber of Commerce for a couple years. And then I went into the private sector. I worked at Viasat for a couple years, and then when this Innovate78 job opened up, it was too exciting and too good for me to pass up. So I accepted at Innovate78, and I've been here for about 2 years now.
Yep, and we still fondly remember your time here at the Chamber. It was great having you as part of our team for a while. All right, so Kirsten, not everybody knows about Innovate78. Can you tell us a little bit about the organization, what you're all about?
Absolutely. So Innovate78 is the collaboration of the 5 cities across the 78 corridor. We have Carlsbad, Oceanside, Vista, San Marcos, and Escondido. And our purpose is really to assist businesses as they evolve and grow right here in our backyard. So what's really important to us is that businesses prosper in place and grow our local economy right down the street. So we recently worked with a business, a manufacturer in Escondido, who earned a cow community tax credit, and we helped them secure that tax credit. And they're hiring, I think, 20 to 30 additional employees with the credit. Great. And they were able to purchase a building in Vista. So they're moving all of their operations from Escondido to Vista. And so we're helping them seamlessly work through that transition, because there's a lot of paperwork, there's a lot of back and forth going. And so they're opening in Vista probably the beginning of 2021. So that's been really exciting. The way that the contract came about was that the city said, if we all work together, it's like a rising tide lifts all boats. If business is doing really well in Oceanside, the residents in Carlsbad are going to benefit, and vice versa across all of the cities. So it really came from the city to help North County grow and prosper.
Yeah, and I love the idea that, that business in Escondido could have ended up going to a different state or a different region, but you kept those jobs here where, the employees can stick with the company. So I think that reflects well on the work that you guys are doing.
No doubt. And what's really unique about this contract is across the state, across the US, it's really unique to have 2 cities working together. And we have 5. Yeah. So it really shows the impact of what we can do when cities can work together and be one.
Yeah, no, that's great. So can you talk a little bit further about what the type of work you do, the scope of work of Innovate78?
Absolutely. So we have 3 main aspects to the work. The first is company promotion, so marketing and visibility. If you're not already, I would encourage you to follow us on social media, sign up for our e-blasts. We are constantly pushing out good news of the region. So like I said, when companies are expanding and hiring, we push that out. When they get new contracts, just any sort of good news we push out. And then in addition, we build the startup ecosystem. So in a pre-COVID world, we hosted startup meetups about once a quarter, and we gathered entrepreneurs, investors in the region to just get together and have a place to gather. Because what we found a couple of years ago was there is a lot of startup activity happening in North County, but there wasn't really a convener. There wasn't really a strong regional convener. So we took that upon ourselves. There's a lot of activity in San Diego and in Orange County, but in North County there just wasn't that regional body. And so we ran what's called Startup 78. And so we had startup meetups. We also host a series called the Innovators event, where we gather about 20 to 25 entrepreneurs for candid conversation. We were able to pivot that virtually once COVID hit, but our meetups are on hold, obviously, until we can host in-person events again. And then the third portion of our work consists of data and research. So on our website, we have a data dashboard, which gives a lot of indicators of how the region is doing, and we frequently update those.
Okay. So data and research, that sounds interesting. Do you have any studies coming out in the near future that we should be aware of?
Absolutely. So we are rolling out a manufacturing study in early 2021. And this study was actually planned well before COVID hit, but we did modify the questions and the data outputs a little bit, obviously, to be timely with the impacts that COVID had on the industry. But what we're finding is that manufacturing is alive and well and very prosperous in our backyard. So we're pushing out a study which will be live in early 2021, and it will be public on the Innovate78 website, and anybody can access it and learn more about the industry.
Good. So many of our sectors have been hit so hard because of COVID, especially the tourism related industry. So it's good to hear that manufacturing is going strong. So you mentioned earlier the startup ecosystem. Can you expand on that a little bit? And what do you mean by that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we partner with Startup San Diego. So they are a San Diego-based startup ecosystem hub. So we work with them quite a bit on their events, and we're not trying to recreate the wheel by any means. We're just trying to bring them a little bit further north to North County. So we work with them a lot. We sponsor their events. Then, like I mentioned before, so we pre-COVID and post-COVID, we do have these Startup 78 meetups where we gather about 100 entrepreneurs, investors, venture capitalists in one space, and we always host them around a theme. So in the past, we've had life sciences, action sports, co-working, just kind of to gather people and give them a place to be. And then, as I mentioned before, the Innovator series. So we traditionally hosted those at a restaurant, and it was a night of candid conversation for about 20, 25 people. And we were able to pivot those to Zoom, and we utilize the Zoom breakout feature. So we all get on screen, and there's 25 of us, and then we break out into about 4 or 5. So we still have that intimate kind of candid conversation about what we can all do to grow the startup ecosystem specifically.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to be doing our first, well, we've done lots of Zoom meetings, but we're going to be trying the breakout rooms for the first time next week. So that will be interesting. But I think you probably agree it would be nice to be able to get some of these people back together in person soon, right?
No doubt, no doubt. Yeah, Zoom fatigue is getting real.
Yep. So, hey, you touched really briefly on social media. Can you maybe give us a bigger overall view of Innovate78's digital presence, web presence?
Sure. So a couple months ago, we actually rebranded the entire initiative, which was a really fun overall project for me to take on. So the initiative, Innovate78, actually started in 2014. And that was when our initial website launched. And as you can imagine, the work has changed so much in the past 6 years that it was really important for us to have a web presence that accurately reflected what we did. And so I'd encourage you and everybody listening to this to take a look at our brand new website. It's Innovate78.com. And then in addition to that, we also rebranded all of our social media pages, our e-blast. And so everything has a clear and concise branding. And like I mentioned before, we are pushing out so much positive business news along the corridor. So I'd encourage you to follow us, and B, if you're a business who would like to be featured for having positive stories, email them to me. It's kr@sandiegobusiness.org.
Yeah, and those I have followed some of those stories, and it's really great to see positive news and stories of resilience coming out. Our business community is amazing in the way that they've responded to this whole situation. So, along those lines, what can we look forward to in 2020 and 2021 with you guys?
Sure. So we are launching the manufacturing study. So that's going to be our big push, at least for winter of 2021. So it's just an overview of the manufacturing industry along the corridor. We do these in-depth industry studies about once a year. So that will be for this year. We will continue to work with startups and to create that stronger ecosystem, and push out good company news. And then finally, for 2021, we are going to be doing our first promotional video. So we're going to work with a videographer and get the word out more about what it is Innovate78 does, because it's a pretty simple thing when you break it down, but it takes a while to explain. So I'm hoping that with the video, we can kind of do a clear and concise, this is what we do, this is who we are.
Good. And we'll be glad to help push that out there for you when it's ready. So, well, great. You gave us a great overview of your organization. Can you repeat the website address again for anybody that might want to check it out?
Absolutely. So it's Innovate78.com. And if anybody needs to get a hold of me, my email is kr, like Kierstin Rielly, kr@SanDiegoBusiness.org.
Great. Well, Kirsten, we really appreciate you being with us today to share about the work of Innovate78. And we appreciate the partnership with you and look forward to a great 2021.
Yeah, likewise, Scott. Thanks for having me. It's been fun.